Hi, I'm Tieast Leverett here at the Aurora Italiana restaurant in West Bloomfield. We're sitting down today talking to influential women in Michigan, in particular from the greater West Bloomfield community, learning about their stories, what motivates them, and how they choose to impact our community. So looking forward to these great conversations, and we'll be right back.
Pregnancy-related deaths in the U.S. are on the rise. The reason? Cardiovascular disease. And Black, Hispanic, and Native American women are the most at risk.
I never thought my pregnancy could cause heart failure.
I experienced my first heart attack after the birth of my son.
But high blood pressure, gestational hypertension, and diabetes can put mom and baby at risk.
Visit goredforwomen.org/pregnancy to learn more, because my health is our health.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back. I'm Tieast, and we are here tonight at the Aurora Italiana restaurant. I have the pleasure of spending time with Stacy Zotkovich, and we are here talking to women in the West Bloomfield area. We are right at the precipice of International Women's Day and looking forward to some exciting conversations. So I am really excited. And in your own words, Stacy, just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do. We just love to learn a little bit more about you.
Thank you for having me. So I'd like to say I'm a jack of all trades, master of many. Some people can only focus on one thing, and as my husband will say, I do a multitude of things in life because I never miss an opportunity. And from the moment he met me, that's what I've always said. So I do everything from taking care of seniors, citizens, and doing some placements, to the medical field, being on the board of healthcare systems, to starting a senior life advisor council group. I mean, you know, being a mom, being active within the community, and just being a face where people feel comfortable, and, you know, kind of being a problem solver. So, I mean, there's a lot. Oh, and I'm an author. Yes, I have a best-selling book about positivity and keeping people on their toes and just seeing life maybe a little bit differently.
No, that's great. You know, and I love to meet women who are doing a lot. And I'm always, you know, enthralled by hearing that. But the question on my mind is, you know, how do you manage it all? And I definitely want to get to that. But before we get to that, I want to make sure that we know the name of your book.
Okay.
And how we can get it. So I don't want us to forget or leave this conversation without you sharing that at some point.
Thank you, I will.
But let's go back. So you are working with seniors, you're working with young people, you're working with your own family and your day-to-day. Give us some things that you do to keep it all in line, to manage it all, and to make sure that you're not only doing what you need to do for the external tasks that you have, but also for yourself.
I think the key to every day is when you wake up, you set the tone for how you want to have your morning, your afternoon, and your whole day. So I get up early. I've restructured my day. I get up early, and it's my time. So I work out in the morning. I have a walking group, which is amazing accountability, so I can't miss.
Yes.
And we go and we walk at least 3 to 4 miles in the morning, and then I come back, get ready, and then I kind of just figure out what I'm going to do for the day. What are my plans? How am I going to accomplish? Set up an A list, a B list, and no matter what, as much as I don't want to do my A list, that has to be done first. Because those are the things that I don't want to do.
The priorities, yeah.
Priorities.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to think, okay, I made it through half my day, and this is the second part of my day. This is how I'm going to accomplish everything I need to. And sometimes if you need to just all of a sudden put on some good music, like I did today, you know, I was like, oh, I need a moment. I put on something positive, something motivational, and I kind of got in the groove. And if you just move around a little bit, it's amazing what you can do for yourself. And setting your goals. But if you don't have goals set for the day, then how are you going to accomplish something?
For sure.
And the first thing I'm going to tell you is get up, make your bed. So no matter what, you know that you've accomplished something positive. I think that's a key. And then, you know, when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, tell yourself you love yourself. We don't do enough self-talk. Have a sticky note on the mirror and tell yourself how wonderful you are.
For sure.
And start your day that way. And I think that that's a key to success in every day.
I think that's something a lot of women don't do. I think we get so bogged down with the daily task and the things we're trying to accomplish that we don't take the time to really respect and give ourselves grace.
We don't.
And to do things, to tell yourself, you know, you're enough.
Right.
You're a great person. You're doing what you need to do. You're giving back in the ways that you can. Some people can give small, some people can give big.
Right.
It's not going to be the same for everyone.
And when is the last time that you actually looked in the mirror and said, I love you? I love you to
I
yourself.
have not done that.
Exactly. And when is the last time that you looked in the mirror so you can connect with yourself and say, I am awesome. Like, look at all the things that I accomplished.
Yes.
We don't give ourselves enough credit.
We don't.
And I know that you don't, as being a mom too.
I don't. I don't. And we were just talking about that, just motherhood in general. I know a lot of people who will see this are moms, some are not.
Right.
Some are surrogate moms, whether they're a big sister, an aunt, whatever the case may be, but they're serving that role in someone's life. So what are some things that motherhood has taught you that you use more broadly in other areas of your life?
A lot. You know, I very much used to be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
It was, this is the way it's done, and this is how we have to do it, and you know, you have hard lessons to learn, but what I have learned is I'm a mom who's learning how to be a mom. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. Admitting when you did something like, hey, you know, I kind of raised my voice. I'm really sorry. I overreacted. I should have just taken it all in, and I'm sorry. And I think that is so important to your children and to yourself, and to say, you know what, let's do this together, and make them part of what you're doing, and also let them have decisions. And as much as sometimes I'm like, don't talk back to me. Yes, right, don't talk to me. But I also don't want them to lose their identity in being told what to do.
That's great advice.
I want them to have a voice, to have an opinion, and also stand up for themselves. And if I sit there and say, don't talk to me that way, which, you know, I do say, I am still your mom, you will respect me, let's figure this out.
However,
I
want to hear from you.
And I do tell my daughter and my son, I'm like, don't ever lose what you have, because I love that about you. You're being funny, or you're being debatable.
That's sound advice.
And I think that's important, is just to listen. Don't have an opinion, and don't knock them, and say, let's learn this together, and let them know that it's okay to make mistakes, but it's how you grow from there, and how you take care of that situation or that problem. You know, we've all been there. We've all been there.
And it's interesting because parenting now, like, we notice that it's so different. Their experience as kids now is so different than ours was at their same age. So I'm learning from my kids all the time. I'm like, my goodness, I don't know if I could be your age now. I don't know how you guys do it. So kudos to our kids, and I appreciate your advice and how you approach parenting.
Thank you.
But let's look at the other end of the coin, because you said something earlier as we were talking that's also very near and dear to my heart, and that's helping and supporting seniors.
Yes.
My grandmother on April 4th of 2025 will be 101 years old.
She's doing something.
Yes, we celebrated her 100th last year, and it was a blast. It was great. So seniors are very, very special to me. I think there's so much to be learned from them. Can you share a little bit more about some of the things that you do for senior citizens and some of the things that you've learned from that community?
Absolutely. Listen, seniors feel, you know, they've been active their whole life. They've been able to do things on their own, and all of a sudden, you know, as we age, our bodies ache, things happen, they can't do and have the mobility as they used to. Don't ever take that away from them. And just because you're busy doesn't mean that you don't have time for your parents. You are busy, that is just an excuse. We are all busy. But you know what, at the end of the day, it's about family, it is about taking time. And this is all lessons I had to learn, because
absolutely,
I was out there working, and you know, at some points I made that more of a priority, but I learned from that. And so as far as seniors go, is listen to them, take time for them. And so one of the groups that I created, we go to senior, I guess, I want to say senior living places, community centers, things like that, and we talk to them about education. It's all the things that they didn't need that they know that they needed to know, and that is huge, because I don't want anyone to be taken advantage of. And you know, we've got everyone from like powers of attorneys there. What about wills and trust? What do you want to do when you want to sell your home, to everything from I have a lot of stuff, how am I going to take all of this stuff, to downsizing, to senior placement, to home health and hospice. I mean, it's a whole array, and getting them to be able to understand and have a voice. Don't ever take that away from them. Just like you don't want your voice taken away.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a key, and and just being a good leader to try and help them be still independent. Who wants to lose their independence?
Right. And navigating this world it's as we mentioned with our kids, right? It's vastly different from for them as well.
Right.
I know at one point there was a scammer like messing with my grandma, and so we had to have a whole conversation, much with the in line with the training that you do for seniors, to be aware of that and to understand how things are different and how to be protected.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to know, as I read your bio, I was excited to ask you this question. So a former Mrs. Michigan.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What was that like? What was your journey to prepare for that, and how it felt the moment you won? I want to hear it all.
It's exciting. So I started my pageantry when I was younger, and I was actually a Miss Michigan.
Oh.
And so here's the thing about doing pageants. People think, it has to be about beauty, and but it's not. It's about going in and doing interviews. Because I did them when I was younger, I was able to go into interviews as a younger adult, being able to ask and answer questions and have a great conversation, and to have a dialogue. And then I will also, when I was interviewing as an adult, again, it's just the interviewing skills, but it was not always about just me. It was about having a voice, advocacy, learning about other people, let them know that you can do anything you want. You are your own person. That will stop you from doing whatever you want.
Right.
I was a school teacher before. I didn't have the career, the credentials, but I put it out there, and I was a school teacher for a couple of years.
So important.
And I think whatever you want to do, put your mind to it, and just do pageantries because of helping other people.
Yes.
Honestly. And it led to being a Mrs. It also helps keep me in fit, because I'm like, I'm gonna have to get up there. And it just kind of keeps you motivated and have a voice and determination, and really allowing me not to care what other people think, because people have an opinion about everything. And you will have your haters because you're positive and you're happy.
Yeah.
And then you'll have people that want to pull you down. And at the end of the day, what makes you happy, what feeds your soul. And I don't know, I like the limelight. I do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not for everybody.
Right.
But I love bringing joy and happiness into people's life. I love making people identify and feel that, wow, I could do that, or, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I had that in me.
Right, and you're using the limelight not for you, but for good.
Right.
And I think that's a different approach that people don't often expect or hear about. So kudos to you for doing that.
Thank you.
So I got one more question for you. You have so many things that you're doing, so many areas in the community that you're touching, in addition to your own home and your responsibilities as a mom and everything else. What do you see as what's next for you? What are you going to go off and do in the future? What is your next moment of greatness?
Girlfriend, that is a loaded question.
I know.
Because I never know what opportunities are going to be brought to me.
Right.
And everyone's like, well, you've done this, and you've done this, and you've done this, and you've done that. And I said, isn't that great? I am not afraid to try new things. And whatever path that I go into, I'm using the experience that I had before and bringing it into this experience now. If something only lasts 2 years, that's okay.
Yeah.
And if I get led into another opportunity or path, that will be it. I do have something in my pocket that I'm thinking I might do.
Okay.
And
Stay tuned.
Yes. I keep saying only I can be the change, only I can make the change. And there's a lot of things that's going around in this country that I'm like, how can I change this? How can I make things better? Or how can I be an advocate for everybody who wants to have a voice? And so there might be something in an arena of who knows?
Right.
But I just
But
want
you're
to.
open.
Yes, I'm open. But at the end of the day, I still want to do motivational speaking and get people to think about life, to be their best, to take them out of their shell, and to not stop thinking and caring what other people think, and say.
And be.
Because that will
Embrace
destroy
yourself.
you. That will destroy you first-handedly, and to empower and don't be afraid. And number one is confidence. Confidence will take you anywhere. And to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you.
Well, thank you, Stacy. So really quick as we close, please, one more time, tell us how people can get in touch with you and also the name of your book.
Yes.
In case they want to get one from you.
Yes, I have the book called Positive Shift Ahead, 16 Ways to Redirect Negative Thoughts Quickly, which you can get on Amazon.
Great.
I did it, it's a very easy airplane read, and I did that specifically so people could just go as a quick reference and also be motivating to them. I also have a children's book called I Have a Choice.
Great.
And it's about being a leader, and just because you're best friends with someone doesn't mean that you have to do what they do, and to try and teach them at a young age to be an advocate for themselves and to be like, you know what, I matter, I am something.
That is
and
great.
Then, right, and then I do have a website, Positive Shift Ahead, that they can go ahead and look on, and of course you can always just find me and call me.
Wonderful. Well, let's conclude with a cheers.
I would love that.
Cheers to you,
Cheers.
Stacy. It was a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to the next time we can sit down again, have
Thank
a
you
glass
so
of wine,
much.
and talk more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.
So much is happening in your community. Join Jake, Tyler, and Kevin for local events and developments on The Splash Live, weekdays at 10 a.m. on CivicCenterTV.com, YouTube, and Facebook.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back. I'm Tieast Leverett, and we are here at the Aurora Italiana restaurant in West Bloomfield, Michigan. And we are here talking to influential women in Michigan as we anticipate celebrating International Women's Day in a few days. And I have the pleasure of talking to Miss Deb Macon. And I am so excited to learn a little bit more about you, talk about you and your journey. So as I ask all of the people I've been talking to today, just tell me in your own words a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what motivates you. I'd love to hear about that.
Oh, thank you, Thais. What a grand question. I'm a longtime resident of Greater West Bloomfield. I live in West Bloomfield Township. And when my family and I moved here, I knew I was looking for a community that gave me an opportunity to grow and develop, as well as my son. At the time, I was in a business career as an accountant, but I knew I needed something else. My son was young, and I made a decision to be part of a number of nonprofit organizations and developed an incredible passion.
Yes.
If you will, for supporting nonprofits, for being part of the public sector. I'm a teacher by heart, and just recently learned something that I'm really delighted to share.
Yes.
Each one, teach one. That is an African American proverb.
Absolutely.
And I was mentored by incredible women in St. Louis, Missouri. And these wonderful mentors actually laid a path out for me and said, here is what we suggest you do.
Wow.
I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
I see that.
And these women were legends in St. Louis. And one of the organizations they encouraged me to affiliate with was the League of Women Voters.
Oh, wow.
I have learned so much and am delighted to be able to support others in community work. Professionally, I'm a governance consultant,
Okay.
which means I get to help organizations, help leaders understand how to leverage their leadership capability.
That's crucial. That's a very critical skill to master. I want to pause here for a second because you're mentioning St. Louis. So I have family in Florissant, Missouri. That's where my uncle lives. So
Oh my,
I spent many a
Tieast.
summer in St. Louis visiting my uncle. So I'll be interested in talking more with you about that.
That would be great.
But I love the story that you shared about the women who influenced you
Yes,
to
for
dedicate
sure.
yourself to nonprofit and to giving. Because we often look at women mentors and they'll tell us a number of different things. Some will say focus on this, your professional development. Some will say focus on motherhood. But you had influence to focus on giving back.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about some of the organizations that you have chosen. I know there are many. We only got a few minutes.
Right.
But there are many, but some of the ones that have been the most influential for you in your service to the community.
You know what, I'm so pleased you said focused on the service aspect, because that is the one reason that I chose Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority as a senior in high school, not even in college yet.
So you knew all in high school.
Exactly. So what that service commitment has meant is literally what are opportunities within the community where I live.
Sure.
And that meant getting involved in the League of Women Voters, understanding what the public policy issues are locally, at a state level, and at a national level. And that opened an incredible door to leadership opportunities at the state and national level within this organization.
That's great.
But I've also focused on contributing to both my school district
Yes.
and my township. And so what that meant, you asked, how do I feel I've been influential? I became a school board member in Bloomfield Hills.
Yes.
And as a school board member, the decisions that the team made together clearly shaped the lives of students and influenced their families.
For sure. So you mentioned that you moved to West Bloomfield a while ago. I'm going to get to that.
Yes.
And that you had your son in tow. Obviously, that influenced some of your decisions to be involved in the school board. I have to ask, what is your son doing now?
My son is a contractor.
Wonderful.
He leveraged his academic learning, but even more importantly, he loves to learn.
Yes.
And leveraged the skill set of those he was around. So I remember a younger friend teaching him some of the things that would become basic and standard in his work. And it's really just been a wonderful opportunity to be able to see that.
That's
when
great.
he needs a new skill set, he reaches out and hits the books. Now it's the internet.
Of course, of course. So he knows how to learn through whatever
Absolutely.
mechanism he needs to use.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
If someone is interested in serving as a school board member, we'll start with that. You've done a lot, so you probably can lay the groundwork or create a pathway for many things. But what kind of advice would you give them in terms of how to get involved, and then once they're successful, some expectations that they may have?
You know what, I did not know where our conversation would go, and I'm delighted that it's in this arena, because I have worked at that aspect very, very clearly. Getting elected to any position in a community depends on how well connected you are as an individual to the people and the principles and values of that community.
Sure.
So I was the mom who was always there, always willing to be in a supportive role, asking questions, wanting to understand how things work, and ended up in leadership roles within the parent community. And that and my support from friends who knew my volunteer work and community work within West Bloomfield
Right.
was immensely supportive. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, and I also served for a number of years on the township board here in West Bloomfield.
Oh, interesting.
And those same principles come to play. It's how are you engaged with your neighbors, with your peers? How do you show up?
Right.
And my husband and I each worked on how will we show up for
the
our
community
school
and
and our
schools.
township community.
That is great.
And there are amazing organizations within Greater West Bloomfield. I'm a co-founder of the Community Coalition, which is
Wow.
supportive of our youth. And most notably, I get a wonderful opportunity to further a 50-plus year tradition with our Greater West Bloomfield Michigan Week.
Wow.
Where we recognize
Yes.
those who've made a difference. And I am so proud of being one of the 12 members of the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. We've had a chance to do some
Yes.
amazing work.
I would love to hear a little bit more about that. So people want to focus on the big guys, you know,
All
the
right.
ones in Detroit or Chicago. But tell us a little bit more about the importance of local programming
Oh my.
and
oh.
how that has shaped community or however you want to go with it. But I'd love to hear just what you think about your involvement in local television and broadcasting.
Oh my. Now, the commission itself is not the producer.
Right.
We are in an oversight policy role. And
Sure.
that means what policies, what practices have to be in place, what encouragement, what motivation, so that we keep local programming at the center of our work.
Yes.
Literally. We're always the ones asking, or all the voices we need to hear from
Sure.
in the room. What type of programming? We've done some innovative things. One of our strong partners is the West Bloomfield School District.
Yes.
And football games.
Oh, you know it. You better not miss those.
Absolutely. And the community-based organizations all around our 4 communities count on us to help them show their value, help them connect to their own constituencies. And of course, we're broadcasting the local public meetings.
So important.
We're vigilant about community connections and community education, meaning, are you aware of what is happening? And
Right.
our innovative splash,
Yes.
hyper-local news. We take this very seriously and want to make sure we're reaching out as best we can using all of our wits about us.
Right, right. That's great. Well, with your long-standing legacy, I'm going to call it what it is, legacy in being in this community, what is one of your favorite things about Greater West Bloomfield? Why is this the place to be?
It's the reason I moved here. A real estate agent drove me around the region.
Sure.
And when we drove through West Bloomfield, I had already put West Bloomfield on my list, at the top of my list.
Sure.
I wanted to be present, to be a contributor to a growing and developing community. And it was the people here
Yes.
who are open and receptive. And I would be remiss if I didn't say the first opportunity I had for a leadership role in my local school district is because leaders who were there realized they needed to make space for newcomers.
So they didn't close things off. They
Oh my
created
God.
an opportunity.
It was the opposite of closed. And
great.
that's what I found in every organization.
That's great.
The Optimist Club, the Historical Society.
All of it.
All of it, absolutely.
That is great. That is wonderful to hear. And I still feel it's probably the same now. I found a home in West Bloomfield, not only a physical home, but a community home. And I feel like I've been embraced wherever I go.
We are delighted, and now that we get a chance to meet, let's just say there are some community events we need to make sure you know more about.
We will definitely be talking.
Absolutely.
So as we close out today, I'll ask one more question of you. So what's one piece of advice you would give, or how would you encourage someone who may be sitting and watching our conversation today, and they don't know how can they get involved more in the community? What's the one thing you would say to them?
Please show up for your community in some way. Reach out to a neighbor, check in with our own Civic Center TV to be able to see what is happening. Show up at one of the events and look for the person with the biggest smile.
Yes.
Who will reach out and connect with you and want to invite you back.
Very sound advice, very sound advice. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Deb Macon. We hope to hear much more from you in future opportunities. And I am Tieast Leverett. Again, we are here at the Aurora Italiana restaurant talking to influential women in West Bloomfield as we anticipate International Women's Day coming up in a few days. So wonderful, wonderful opportunity to talk to women who are making a difference in Michigan. Thank you.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back. I'm Tieast Leverett, and we are here at the beautiful, beautiful Aurora Italiana restaurant in West Bloomfield. And I have the pleasure of talking with Suzanne LaVine. And we are so excited to just have a minute to sit down at this lovely establishment and have some girl talk as we anticipate International Women's Day coming up very soon. So, Suzanne, I have been asking everyone we're talking to just to give a little bit about themselves in their own words. So tell me a bit about you, what inspires you, and what you do day to day.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to talk. My career path was fairly divergent, and it might seem like there was no continuity of why I did the path I did, but I started out as a late night talk show producer for WRAF, baby. And then I transitioned to television. I worked for all the local affiliates, but my favorite job was at PBS, where I was a program producer for a national teen show called Club Connect. And that was an amazing, I won a lot of awards, and it was just a really creative, wonderful time. But as I just mentioned to someone, unfortunately, I didn't have a female mentor.
Yes.
So I had to sort of learn the ropes and learn how to navigate, especially because at that time I worked mainly with men.
Right.
And so trying not to be threatening, but also not to be their mother. And it was kind of like a fine line I had to walk.
Right, walking a balance.
Right, and get them to respect me and my work and not be threatened by me. So that was an interesting time. And then after that I taught college for a while. And what was most rewarding is that I mentored several young female students. And they came to me and they wanted some help, and I taught them, not only to how to write a resume, but how to go into an interview, because I told people, this is your chance to lose the job, not get it.
Absolutely.
If they're calling you in, you better know what their mission statement is, what their vision statement is, come up with an idea, even if it's not great. Make sure your belly ring isn't showing.
Right.
How to dress appropriately.
Some of the basics, right?
Some of the basics.
Lost on people.
And it was really great because I made these great relationships with these young women, and they're all very successful right now. And occasionally they'll make a comment on LinkedIn. And then from there, I transitioned into my current job, which is Executive Director of the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
And quite honestly, when I applied for the job, I really wasn't sure what a Chamber of Commerce did, so I read up on it.
Yeah.
And I went in with all kinds of ideas, and obviously it worked because I've been there for 10 years. So,
Clearly.
so something clicked.
Worked.
And I think I'm very passionate about helping people. There's so many things that I wish I could change in the world.
Yeah.
But if I can keep you in business another day, week, month, years, and you can feed your family and you have a purpose to your life, then I feel that I've done a great job. So I bill myself as a business matchmaker. I love connecting people and figure out ways. One of my favorite stories is that there was this young guy, he bought a pizza place.
Okay.
And he wanted to get more business, and I contacted all these real estate agents, and I said, when you sell a house, he said he will I told him, deliver a free pizza to the new home.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to the neighborhood, and here's a coupon, and here's a pizza. So, how great would that be for his business? And it was. So just always trying to think of new creative ways, innovative ways to connect businesses, have interesting networking events, and try to help people in our community thrive and survive, especially since the COVID pandemic really, unfortunately, it really destroyed a lot of new businesses. I was so heartbroken. I really tried to connect them to grants and things, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, difficult time. So you bring up an interesting point, sitting where you sit right now, and you're seeing the ebb and flow of the community that you love change often. Whether it's from something like a pandemic, whether it's political changes, whether it's financial upturns and downturns. What are some of the things that you have to, whether it's focus on, or what kind of gives you what you need to help West Bloomfield navigate those changes that happen so often?
Well, that's great. I'm always trying to reinvent the chamber, and I tell people they have to reinvent their business. Plus, competition's never going away.
Sure.
And so there might be 10 med spas. What makes yours unique? So I try to sit down with them and help them figure out the clients they want, and how can we do this? Is it TikTok? Is it Instagram? But I really do believe, especially with health and money, those are trust issues. You're not going to just go to any dentist.
You're not.
And you're not going to give your parents to any home care person. So that's why I created these unique networking venues so that they can meet other people and build the trust that they need to have them trust, yes, I'm going to come to you as a dentist. I'm going to allow my parent to be in your assisted living place. And so it's a battle, because you're trying to really figure out what is the next big thing. How can I help these people? Because no matter what they say about social media, I do not believe it will ever replace this kind of one-on-one getting to know someone.
Yeah, the human interaction is something that can't be replicated. I don't care how many AI robots are out there doing whatever they're doing.
Right.
There's nothing like sitting down with a person and having that connection.
And have you noticed that since the pandemic, everybody wants to hug again?
Yes.
Like
yes.
the strangers, I'm standing in line
together.
I'm in Costco, and someone's telling me their life story and they want to hug me. It's like, okay. I mean, that was the one thing that we really, I objected to them saying social distance. They should have said physical distance.
Right.
Because there's a different connotation between social and physical.
Way of saying it.
We are social animals.
We are.
We crave that interaction and that connection.
And it's really, it's fundamental to human existence.
Absolutely.
Like you can't eliminate the desire for that.
Right.
At all.
No, and it's not good because there's so many lonely people. And so, and I sort of feel the same thing, like when I have these events, I know there are people that are shy and don't know how to interact, so I'm like their mother. I'll drag them up to someone and say, hey, you need to meet Tieast. You know, I think you two might have a lot in common, and I'll start the conversation, and then I'll kind of, you know, slither away. So.
But it's funny that, you know, that's one of your values, is that connector, and I think that's a skill set. Everyone doesn't have it, so it's a gift. I believe that, and it's critical, and especially in the role that you have, you know, just bringing, whether it's businesses together or just people in general, and seeing what can come from those connections.
Right.
And I'm interested in hearing a little bit about what you shared at the beginning when we first started talking, how your path to where you are now is so divergent. What are some of the things from maybe a previous role that you feel have influenced what you do now?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, as I say, you know, I had a lot of experience in television.
Right.
The creativity. And there, unfortunately, it's a very competitive field. So, you know, trying to navigate all that and not create, you know, jealousy. Because there were certain things, awards that I won where my peers did not.
Yeah.
But, you know, trying to figure out, you know, really learning about people, and I think it's really important. One of the best things that I ever learned is someone said, if you take the word listen and you rearrange the letters, it's silent.
Oh.
So listening to
Gets
what...
her pen and does it.
That's right. But no, it's seriously, it's like, everyone wants to feel validated and respected, and that their opinion matters. So I think that was the best thing when I was a producer, because I'd have to go out into the field, or I'd have to get someone to come on the show, and maybe they were hesitant, so I would listen to their story or get them to talk, and usually they would agree to it, or they would help me find somebody else. And I think that's that, and learning to be grateful and gracious are really important. I mean, you're not going to get people to do things for you if, you know, if you have a major attitude. And so I've always tried...
approach them as an entitled person or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've always tried, and I credit my mom, because she set the bar very high, that, you know, she said, you treat the person at Kmart like you would treat the President of the United States. And so I've always tried to, you know, do that, even in my everyday life. If I go to Costco, and, you know, the seniors are doing those food samples, and most people grab them and don't even say thank you. I have a conversation with them.
Right.
And they're so appreciative. Right. You know, of course, then they start telling you things that maybe you don't want to know.
A little TMI. I just want that egg roll, but thanks.
I'm just trying to make, you know, be grateful, and, you know, but, you know.
But that's a very, you know, that's something that people often miss in day-to-day life, is just being grateful for the little things, the little moments, the little interactions, for sure. Definitely something that we can all get back to. And I think, as you mentioned before, right, COVID kind of took a lot of that away, and people are so hungry for that now. So, yes.
Yes, I think we need to return to civility. I don't know if we can. People are so angry. I just don't understand it. I mean, this country isn't perfect, but compared to the rest of the world, it's a pretty great country. So, and anyone can be president. Anyone can be a billionaire. Anyone can, you know, have a great life. You know, I mean, it doesn't always work out that way, but at least be grateful. You know, and be a kind and show some compassion and kindness to people. I think no matter how much money you have, you can always do something. Maybe you can't give money, but you can always do an act of kindness, even if you're holding open the door for someone.
Yes.
You know, and I learned a lot of that, believe it or not, when I was producing, because you'd had to go into all the communities.
Sure.
And you saw a lot of, you know, really tragic things. I even wrote the news for a while, which was probably the worst job I ever had. It was horrible.
It seems like a lot of the times the news is just bad news.
That's right.
All the time.
Right.
And I know the legend is that gets ratings.
Right.
But oftentimes people just get exhausted hearing that all the time.
Right. Well, it's like it used to be, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yes.
And then during ratings period, it was sex and violence. I know they're trying to do a little bit, you know, they try to end on a positive story. And I think that's, you know, kind of what I want to do with the Chambers. I want to end on a positive story with their business.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's great to hear. Just, you know, and West Bloomfield is a very special place for a lot of reasons, but I think the involvement that the Chamber has in some of the most basic things in the community. I know the Chamber has been involved in the high school.
Right.
I have 2 kids who graduated from West Bloomfield High School. I have one in elementary. Do the math, send lots of prayers. But the Chamber touches all elements of our lives in this community, and it's very evident and apparent for sure.
No, absolutely, and I'm a big advocate of West Bloomfield Schools. All 3 of my kids graduated from there, and are very, successful, hardworking, just good human beings.
Right.
And so the schools are great, and I think we need to support whatever we can in our community, because we've got the most beautiful parks, we have the greatest library.
It's a great library.
And we have a very diverse community
Yes.
that seems to have been able to navigate, all of the issues that we have, and still, seem to get along, and we're still together.
Yeah.
And which is great, and that's the way that I feel about the people in my chamber. I'm more of a boutique-y kind of concierge chamber. I know
That's
all my
great.
members, and I know their business, and I can help them strategically plan, and if I can't, then I refer them elsewhere.
Right. So they need to succeed, whether it's right here with you, great, but if not, you're still focused on making them successful.
Absolutely, and I always tell people, maybe my chamber isn't the right one for you. I'm okay with that.
Right.
Just like, this might not be the right restaurant, that might not be the right doctor, that might,
I just want you to
whatever.
win.
Right, and I'm okay with it because I know what I have to offer.
Right.
And I feel like I have a lot to offer I have a senior resource group that networks, and then I created a talk time where now people can get in front of seniors and give them advice and health advice.
That's fantastic.
We have a Women's Inspiration Network, a WIN. We have our Business Innovation
get more
Generator.
involved. I'll be calling you after
I know.
this.
We have a great leadership breakfast. Last year we had Casey Crane Communications,
wow.
and my good friend Roop Raj,
Good,
that I love, that I met actually when I was doing Club Connect, and used him in a lot of my shows. So, and because I've maintained those relationships, people will do things for you. But and I'm a big believer in the thank you note. I still write the old-fashioned thank you note.
And receive it in a handheld piece of paper.
Because people know that you took and that's what they want to know, that you took the time and the effort to acknowledge them.
For sure.
And so, that's kind of the word of the day is, just, make sure that you can maybe hopefully validate somebody else. Let them know that they matter, they're important.
You never know what a small gesture can really do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. I mean, you are focused on businesses and helping other businesses and that whole network and landscape, but what do you like to do when it's your time? When you have a day off or a weekend or take a trip, what does Suzanne like to do for herself?
Well, everyone that knows me knows that I'm addicted to estate sales.
Oh, yes.
So
you like the hunt.
I like the hunt. I am the hunter. I am a treasure hunter. So, and so in fact, I tried to teach my kids, they're not as into it as I am.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The next generation isn't really into the things; they're more into the experience.
Yeah, I agree.
But we'll see what happens with all my things.
Right.
If they want any of it. But it's fun to, and to see other people's homes and how they live.
Sure.
And then you meet people. You see some of the same people at these,
There's a community
like,
of
what did you
hunters.
get? Yeah, that's right. I'm like stalking the prey, there's a whole art to that.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. I love to read.
Okay.
And I exercise out of necessity and not really desire.
Right.
And I love spending time with my family, as much as I can. There's nothing more important than your family.
Of course.
Seriously. So, and trying to raise, children that are respectful and will be productive in society.
Right.
Good people. I think that's the most important job that a woman, well, hopefully a man too, that they can do, is raising these children to be of benefit to society.
Right.
And so, I think I've done a pretty good job.
No, that's sound. I always like to hear from other moms. As I mentioned, a mom of 3, and I feel like that's my goal too. I want you to be productive, contribute to society, be able to take care of yourself
Right,
if I'm not around.
Right.
But being able to be somebody who is a contributor and does something, whatever it is, it can be
Right.
small, it can be grandiose, I don't
Right.
care.
No.
As long as it's positive.
You need a reason to get up in the morning.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. You see, like, extremely wealthy people and extremely poor have no reason to get up.
Yeah.
I once watched a documentary with Jamie Johnson. He's the great-great-grandson of Johnson & Johnson.
Oh, wow.
And he asked his father one day, what should I do with my life? He goes, get a hobby.
Yeah. Something that excites you and
right,
gets you charged up.
Right. But he doesn't have to work, so he has no reason to get up in the morning. So
Right. It's not like you need to pay the bills.
Right.
You're paid.
So you need a purpose in your life, and
Yeah.
so I think this is great that you're highlighting, women in leadership and our journeys. And I think if a woman can find a mentor, if they can find someone to give them some advice to help, sort of grease the way so that it's
Yeah.
not so fraught with potholes. It's
Well,
great.
we are in Michigan.
They are, yes, that's true. Fix the damn roads. So if you could find someone, that's great. But I could see that you're a great mentor, and I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Well, that means very much to me coming from you. I'm going to take that with me and ride on that for a couple of days. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll close here in a minute, but I just want to ask you again, let's go back to the business side of things.
Sure.
A lot of people who see this may be wondering, I have this idea in my head, I'd love to start a business. What should I do? What are some things that an aspiring entrepreneur in West Bloomfield, what are a couple first steps or some initial things that they may want to investigate as they consider doing that?
Well, first of all, they should contact Oakland County and see how many of those businesses are in the area, because if it's already saturated, the opportunity and the chance that you're going to be successful are going to diminish. So that's number one. Number two, they can call the township and find out, how many beauty salons are there.
Sure.
They can call me and I can say, well, I know just even from our chamber members, or we just had someone that joined that has a unique business, and I was so excited. I said, it's so easy for me to promote you because we don't have anyone like you in the chamber. Trying to figure out how to approach the same businesses with different ideas is very challenging. When it's a unique business, it's so easy. So, but there are steps, they shouldn't just jump into a business, and they should have a business plan. And I know that Great Lakes Women's Business Council, it's free. If they're going to be like a 51% owner, a female, they will help guide them. Oakland County 2, Oakland Thrive will help them. And there's so many resources, but they can always call the chamber, they can always call me, and I can help direct them to the right resources to see that, we don't want someone coming in and failing.
And not being successful.
And that
right.
it has to be, this is their dream, and then, it fails, it has to be, devastating. So we don't want that.
Of course. Well, I thank you so much. We've been talking with Suzanne LaVine, a woman who wears many hats in our community, definitely involved with the chamber. So to those aspiring business owners, this is the lady you need to be talking to. And we're sitting here again at the Aurora Italiana restaurant, having conversations with influential women in Michigan in anticipation of International Women's Day. And we're looking forward to more conversations just like the one we've had today. So thank you again.
Well, thank you.
Hey, Michigan, let's think beyond the sink and learn where the water your family drinks every day comes from. Private wells and public water supplies allow homes across Michigan to draw water from different sources, like lakes, rivers, and groundwater. Tap into the facts about your home's water source and learn about your home's water quality to protect your family's health.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
Welcome back. I'm Tieast, and we are here at the Aurora Italiana restaurant talking to influential women around Michigan, in West Bloomfield in particular right now. And I have the pleasure of sitting down and talking to Courtney Pronounce your last name for me.
Pachuta.
Pachuta. Courtney Pachuta. I have an interesting name. I want to make sure I got yours correct.
I love it.
And so we are, again, talking to women as we anticipate International Women's Day coming up very soon. So, Courtney, again, very excited to meet with you. I've read a little bit about what you do, so I got a lot of questions. But first, I just want to start off with hearing in your own words, who are you? What do you do? What are you passionate about? What wakes you up every morning?
Well, my dog wakes me up every morning.
Yes, understand.
Who am I and what do I do? So I am the co-founder and COO of a business event management firm.
Yes.
Primarily, we service the alternative investment financial industry. I'm extremely passionate about service and providing service, and also I'm a mom.
Yes.
And I'm a former teacher, so I live for teaching and training, and everything that I do kind of revolves around those areas on a daily basis.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell me a little bit more about alternative investments, financing. If someone doesn't know fully what that is, raise his hand. Tell us a little bit more about what that is and kind of how your business supports that industry.
So when my husband and I were 50-50 partners in the business, when we started this business, we knew that we wanted to service a niche market.
Sure.
And because we believe that relationships and connections are everything, we had a lot of relationships in that market. And so alternative investments are everything from like oil and gas to opportunity zones, plenty of other investment
on and on
that
and on.
would not be necessarily traded on the S&P 500, but yeah.
Got it. So in particular, as you service this community of businesses, if you will, in the event space, what makes that different than if you were an event planner for something else?
Well, we always joke that we don't do weddings.
Right.
But truly what our events are focused around are the business development. So we take the time to really become a strategic leader with our clients and sit at the table with them and understand what their sales goals are and what their organizational goals are, and then help arrange the event experiences so that it can further impact the relationships that they need to grow their businesses.
And this is such an interesting space. Tell us a little bit more about what led you here. What were you doing before? Maybe your educational background or some experience that kind of said, hey, this is what I think we should be doing, hubby.
Yeah. So I started out my career as a teacher.
Yes.
And absolutely love teaching.
What were you teaching? High school, middle school, elementary?
Oh, yes, elementary. Yeah, it was wonderful. And I caught the entrepreneurial bug and started a business back in 2010, back before influencers were influencers. And I had a fashion blog and was a personal shopper. And that's how I met my husband now. And he was a business owner in Troy and grew his business through networking and relationships and events. And so it was a very natural segue for he and I to come together. He's the extrovert, I'm the introvert. He's the visionary, I'm the integrator.
The doer,
and
right?
Yes, like the yin and the yang. And it made perfect sense for us to then go into this event planning space.
So it's interesting, you've mentioned the importance of networking a couple of times already. And I'm fascinated that you label yourself as an introvert, because I too feel like I'm a functional introvert. That's what I call myself.
Yes,
like,
I call myself
I need to turn it on, I can.
Highly functioning extroverted introvert. Yeah.
I could be in the closet with books for 2 weeks, just push food under the door.
Yes,
so
100%.
What would be your advice for someone who maybe isn't comfortable? Because clearly you can do it when you need to.
Yes.
So what are some things maybe that you would say to someone who is not readily available, their social battery might be low, or whatever you call it these days, to get out there and at least try to network, because it is important to growth and success?
Yes. Well, so two parts to that. I think that putting labels on like whether or not you're an extrovert or you're an introvert it keeps us like smaller. And I know that I'm an introvert because that's how I recharge. And I know that my husband's an extrovert because that's how he recharges. In groups of people, it gives him energy. And I know that if I'm going to spend an evening with a group of people, I'm going to schedule then a night at home the next night to help me recharge. So I think a little bit of that is just understanding how we get our energy and what we need to do, and just have the awareness of it. That then you can plan for it. Like, I know going out, it's going to take a lot of energy. Yeah, exactly. But I love it and I'm okay with it. And so I think the next part of it too is, I think we don't always give enough credit to our networks that we have. We are so networked, whether it's online or in person, but we're already so networked. And just being willing to ask for help, ask the question, or ask for what you need. You never know who you already have in your network who's going to have the answer to the question or the resource that you might need, or be willing to be the person to help and step up. So I think just honoring those relationships that we already have in our life is super important to then build the relationships out.
You're right. Yeah, it's a great way of thinking about it, and I hadn't until just now, so thank you for that. It's almost like when, and I know you have fashion experience, when they tell you to shop your own closet, like don't go buy more, you probably have what you need in your closet. Same thing for networking, right? You probably have the person that you need, and we're always thinking we need more, but reevaluate what you already have. You probably have it right there. So that's sound advice. So I like that a lot. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about parenting. You mentioned that you are a mom. So tell us, how many kids, how old are they, what are they into?
So 2 kids. My youngest is my daughter. She's 14. She's an 8th grader. She is very into her friends and being an 8th grader. Yes, she's on the swim team. She's joining the track team. She's very involved. Has her whole life planned out.
Oh, of course. She has all the answers now.
Exactly. And then I have a 19-year-old son. He is a freshman at Michigan State.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. He's majoring in hospitality business. We'll see if he wants to take over the family business or not.
I kind of feel that's where he's going.
We'll see, but I'm very, very proud. Yeah, he is really he's into school right now.
You can't ask for anything more.
I'm going to leave it at that. I'm very proud.
Yeah. Right. So as you look at your parenting journey, and again, kudos to your kids, they seem like they're doing awesome things. As you look at your parenting journey, what are some of maybe the highs and the lows that have given you, whether it's a life lesson or fuel to drive you in your professional life, as well as maybe in your parenting life?
So parenting is definitely a journey. And what I have learned, that when I became a parent, and I'm going to take this a little sideways, but is that I learned how to appreciate my parents more, because it really taught me that I have no clue what I'm doing.
No manual comes with the kid.
Right, exactly. They had no clue what they were doing. So it gave me a lot of grace to look back and realize that they were doing their best. And also, I'm doing my best. And
absolutely,
that is what it is. And also, just being a little bit more vulnerable and real with my kids has really helped. I mean, I am the parent, it is my household, I do make my rules, but at the same time, they're not always the right things. They seem right at the time, but they may not be right for my kids. So it's been a very, very fun and lively journey, learning how to figure out myself, but then also do it as the leader of our household.
Sure. So juxtapose for me, if you will, the parenting journey with now you're in the event space. I'm sure that you can lay out every plan and every detail about an event. And how often does it happen exactly as you've laid it out? Much like
every
parenting.
time, of course.
Of course.
Of course. There is never anything that goes wrong. You know?
So I'd love to hear about maybe one of the most challenging, so to speak, event issues that you maybe had to address, and kind of what you did and how you learned from that.
Okay. Well, I always think of, when you say the image of, like what went wrong, I always think like we're like a duck. We're smooth on top. And
underneath, oh my gosh, yes, underneath it's chaos.
Oh yeah, totally. But I'm trying to think of a really challenging event. Well, one story that comes to mind, it wasn't necessarily a challenge, it was an opportunity to really go above and beyond, which we work with a lot of the same firms over and over again. And this one particular one of the attendees knows us really well. And so we received a phone call early in the morning that they wanted to put on a wine pairing and chef's class by noon for 15 people.
Great.
And we were at an offsite event.
And they told you this when?
I think we got the phone call around 7 a.m.
Okay.
And it was posed as like, I have a challenge for you. Let's see if you can do it.
Right.
And we were like, thank you so much for the opportunity. Let's do this. And we did. We put together an incredible chef's pairing cooking class that 15 people had a lovely time at. It took a lot of details and phone calls and
and using that network that
running
you already
up.
had.
Yes, exactly. And who do we call? And we got it. And how are they going to get here? And what's it going to look like? And what's the schedule? And yeah.
So I think there's a resourcefulness that speaks to you as a business owner, and I feel like that mom element helps with the resourcefulness. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Oh, just being able to like change on a dime, and also just making decisions. I think what the biggest part about it is just being okay having to make constant mini decisions all day, every day. Especially as a parent, as you know, we're constantly deciding, what we're doing next. And it's not even the like what we're having for dinner. It's the like what they call them, like the unmentioned decisions that I know women are always thinking about in our head.
Some statistic that says like how many decisions you make a day, and it exceeds like it approaches 1 million, I think.
Yes, easily.
I'm like, is that real? Then I'm like, it's probably true. I mean, they're just microscopic decisions.
Well, just
that you're
all
making.
of the things that we keep in our mind that I know. I mean, it's the constant like, am I making a doctor's appointment? Did they have a doctor? Did I need to do that today? The dog, we got to make sure that the dog goes to the groomer. Okay, the cleaning lady's coming this weekend, so I got to make sure I do this. Oh shoot, I'm supposed to, pick so-and-so up, and do I have to get them their cleats for soccer? And did I pack those in the car? And like, oh shoot, that reminds me that my car needs to go to the car wash. I probably need an oil change. I should. And it's that constant that we keep, and yet we're walking around doing the thing, being a professional, being a mom, and keeping it all,
or at least trying to, as best we can. As my hair steadily turns gray moment by moment.
And if I don't, well, that's okay too.
Right. And speaking of, when you're not making decisions, whether it's for your business, for your family, and you're thinking about your time, what you do for you, what are some of those things that you enjoy?
Oh, I'm very simple in that regard. And it's taken many, many years to get to this point of being simple. I love just a good book, honestly.
Tell me what you've been reading. What's something good you've read recently, whether it's this year or last year? What's something good?
Well, I just sent this book. It's one of my favorites. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. He's the owner of 111 Madison Park.
Oh, okay.
Great read.
Unreasonable Hospitality.
I just sent that to one of my team members. I have many books that I read over and over again. One of my favorites to read over and over again is called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. It's kind of my spiritual book, if you will, that keeps me grounded. But yeah, a good book and a Saturday afternoon at my sofa is
can't beat it.
My favorite thing, and I do love a good massage though. Don't get me wrong.
Also can't
beat that. A spa day, I will take that any day.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me ask you this. So as an entrepreneur that has gone into business with your spouse, a lot of people we talk to, it's like just a single woman-owned thing, or they do it on their own, and that's not what their partner's involved in. What are some things you can share about being in partnership with your spouse and or partner that maybe some people can learn from?
I don't know if anybody will learn from it. They might think we're crazy. But I mean, it's for us. It's the only way I could ever see for us. Our relationship is, I mean, like I said before, we are very yin and yang, and we complement each other so well. I can't imagine not working with him by my side. It does add many, many layers to our relationship because not only are we business partners making decisions, but we're also married and have children
Raising a family
together, and yes, have all kinds of things that go on in life. So yeah, I mean, it provides a really interesting dynamic where, like, especially in the workday, you know, like if something has happened at home, I have to remind myself that now he's my business partner. He's not my husband. I'm not gonna.
I won't bring that up until
yeah,
after
I know,
5.
right? Yeah, exactly. But honestly, it's helped our relationship deepen so much because we're forced to have the conversations that I feel like a lot of couples don't want to have, but we have to because we have to show up on the same team every day, especially in front of our team, in work and in the household. And that just really, it forces us to sit down and to talk about the uncomfortable things.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, something that if he said something that rubbed me the wrong way or I said something or whatever, we have to bring that up because otherwise those things can't grow and fester.
Right, it can't get in the way of what you need to take care of day to day.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting dynamic, but it seems to be
It is.
working very well for you both,
Well.
so congratulations on that.
Yes.
So anything else you'd like to share just about your business and where you feel the direction of it is going? Obviously, we're very early in the year still. What are some things that you see in terms of growth? Is there maybe a new segment you're going to embrace or some new things that you might want to bring to your business?
New things. I don't know about new. Well, new would be, we are definitely focused on AI and automation.
Yes.
It is a thing that everyone's
Yes,
talking
tell
about.
us more
and
about that.
We
Yes,
are
everyone's
talking about it
it.
too. We are, and there's just so many cool things that AI can help with now. And I mean, we've trained AI in our company just to help us communicate better with our clients.
Absolutely.
Help us learn their voice and automating a lot of the communications that we can just to allow us to grow even more and spend more time on the activities that we can grow. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a major focus right now. And growth-wise, honestly, it's to be able to serve more. I mean, like I said in the beginning, I'm obsessed with service, and the more people that I can help grow their business through relationships and service, then the more I'll do.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we'll close with maybe one more question. Are you involved in things outside of business in terms of, you know, giving back to the community, and what are some things that drive you in that space?
Wow, I have to be honest, I don't really have a lot of ways to give back, but I am really happy that I met actually a lot of the women here today.
Yes.
To involve me even more.
Building that network.
Yes, exactly. I love that about tonight because I got to meet women I wouldn't have met otherwise. But I am looking for and welcoming the opportunity to give back to the community. I have been so focused on building my business and building my team, and we're a fully remote team, so we have team members from all over the world.
That's great.
So I haven't spent as much time in my community.
Well, you're building your own, doing your own community, giving back, and open to other opportunities. So that's always 100%. The key.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it has been such a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to a future conversation with you. So you're not getting away that easy. But I hope you wish you continued success and for your kids as well. So thank you very much for sharing your story with us.
So lovely.
Thanks. So again, I am Tieast, and we are here at the Aurora Italiana restaurant talking to influential women in Michigan in anticipation of International Women's Day. And we look forward to more conversations, and we will be right back.
So much is happening in your community. Join Jake, Tyler, and Kevin for local events and developments on The Splash Live, weekdays at 10 a.m. on CivicCenterTV.com, YouTube, and Facebook.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. on cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
What a wonderful evening I've had here at the Aurora Italiana restaurant, talking to women from the greater West Bloomfield community, learning their stories, hearing about what they do, hearing about their families and all the wonderful ways that they touch our communities and our lives. Looking forward to the opportunity to do this again and hoping to hear from these women and many more very soon. Thank you.